Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're standing here with my little brother's 89 Chevy K1500, so it was a four-wheel drive. And if you had watched the last video, we had just picked this truck up from Amesbury, Mass, and we're going to be going through it. Today we got to diagnose what's going on with it. It's got a little bit of like an engine tick or knock. We're not too sure, so we're going to dive in later and figure that out. But for right now, we just got home. We want to clean it up. We're taking things out of the bed right now, and we're just kind of going through. We're going to peel these stickers off the back, get some stuff out of the truck, and then again, this video we're going to be diagnosing it, seeing what's going on with it. This is the C1500, and now there's the K1500. So Mike's listening to it with a stethoscope, trying to see if it's a knock or if it's a tick from the top. All right, guys, so we are back out here with James's 89 K1500 this morning, and the verdict is we're going to just swap the engine. We walked around it with a stethoscope last night. We were kind of listening to parts of the engine. It sounds like it's coming from the lower end. Yeah, we probably could rebuild it. Maybe for fun, once the engine's out, maybe I'll kind of go through it, make a whole video out of seeing what failed in the engine. It'd just be kind of fun to learn and, go through it. We don't really want to waste too much time. This one's, unfortunately, it's really clean. Like even things like this exhaust manifold look like they're not going to be that bad to take off the truck. So kind of unfortunate that this one is bad, but like I said, we found one for about $600, and gotta take the air cleaner off. We have to take the radiator out. I'm hoping I can take like the AC condenser and just like flop it to the side so we don't have to disconnect any lines. That would be awesome. I think I'll just undo the exhaust at the collectors, or maybe we'll do it right at the manifold. I'm not too sure yet. All depends what the other engine has. So we will look at that a little bit later, but everything is looking pretty good and clean, and I think we'll start with draining out the oil, then we'll drain out the coolant. First, we're going to have James go underneath the truck. Here, pop that yellow cap off the oil pan, slide that underneath and go find the drain plug, and grab that top. You're going to want all the wrenches. You're going to want to put a wrench down there and crack that drain plug. I'm going to work on getting this air filter box off, which will only take 1 second. There we go. So now we got this off. So this, I'm probably just going to throw everything that we need in the bed for now. Make our lives way easier when it comes time to assemble the truck later. James said he notices there's
also
bolt
a wire missing too.
Missing.
Not one there.
Let me see. Where at?
Well, there's a bolt missing there.
Alright, well that's good to know. We got a missing transmission pan bolt. Surprised that isn't leaking fluid. These things are usually real finicky about stuff like that. So our oil pan plug is right up there on the side. James is going to crack that open, drain out all of the oil. So while I got James draining out the oil down there, we're going to pull off these bolts right here for the top of the radiator fan shroud. We got another one down there. So it's actually just a 10 millimeter. Funny enough, we got our old, we got like the most jank sweatshirt on because I figured we're going to be under there getting all full of all sorts of fun car fluids. But yeah, this should be just extremely easy. This whole project honestly shouldn't be bad at all. The Chevy 350 is like probably one of the easiest engines to pull out of a vehicle. Like it's so simple. But yeah, all these are cracking nice and free. I like it. Working out well for us. Look at that. All hand tight, just like in an instant. Also, I did want to mention before I do anything else, we're gonna disconnect the battery. Just a little safety precaution. Oh wow, those are real small. All right, we got a, what is this, 5/16 up on here. Loosen up these battery terminals and just disconnect them. That way we're not worrying about arcing off anything. I already broke this one free. Look at that, nice and simple and safe. Good to see it, safety first, boys. I also found these really awkward bolts up towards the front of the shroud that I missed out on, so we're gonna pull those as well. But I'm gonna have James take over right there because he just drained out the oil underneath the truck. Now I guess the next thing I gotta do is wait for him to do that so we can drain the coolant. So I thought we were gonna pull the radiator, but I realize now that the transmission cooler lines go in through here, and I don't know, I think I'm wasting time pulling the radiator out at this point, so I'm going to leave that in. My thoughts are just to drain the coolant maybe at the engine, so we'll probably undo that hose right there, pull that, and let all of it drain out of the block. Maybe that's the better plan. It's going to come out of the radiator too, I'd have to imagine. But that seems like a much better plan. We can always pull the fan at the front too of the engine just to make our lives a little bit easier. That way we got a little more wiggle room when we pull the engine. I think we're going to pull the engine with the tractor over there, so we'll remove the hood and stuff, but that'll be last. But yeah, we just got the shroud out, so we're going to pick up these bolts and pull the shroud. All right, just had to walk the radiator hose away from it. And here we go. Look at that. Oh, so much. Like, look how simple this looks now without that big fan shroud there. It's awesome. But yeah, here's the shroud. Just going to drop this back here and continue. Yeah, I think it would be much better just to maybe pull this fan. We probably don't even need to pull the fan, but I want to pull it just so if it comes up at the radiator, it won't hit it. And honestly, this is looking fine. This is perfect. We're going to have to remove this hose right here. I figure it doesn't really matter where I remove it. I'll probably remove it right here at the radiator. And same with the bottom hose. Like I said, we're going to disconnect it down here and let all the fluid drain out of the block. We're going to be removing the belt just to make things a little easier for ourselves. So I have actually a 16 on there, funny enough. But we just got to loosen it up enough. There we go. Now I can retract. Real simple stuff right there. I can just pull the belt off. Life made simple.
Oh, because it goes to everything.
Yeah, it's just one big belt. Jim's going to throw that in the bed. Look at that. Life, like I said, life made easy. Last thing I think I want to pull is this fan. That should be easy on the front of there. Had to get a screwdriver. Hopefully I can get it in between there and just kind of work this hose down without ruining the hose. And there we go. Yeah, that's some dirty coolant. But it doesn't look mucky. Like, it doesn't look like a head gasket failed. It just looks not pretty. So we're just going to pull this little line off the evap canister. That goes to the engine, and I feel like this is going to break. We'll just leave it for now. We'll just leave it. But it's disconnected. And I'll try to pull it off a little later carefully. Just don't want anything to break, you know? Don't want to have to buy any extra parts for no reason. But James is underneath the truck now. He's going to put the plug back on the oil pan, and then we're going to get under there and remove that little cover to get to the torque converter and flywheel. While he's down there, I'm going to remove this little ground strap right here. Looks to be maybe a 9/16. We're going to sock it on there and find out. Actually, just a half. I gotta start practicing with my American sockets, boys. I am way off on these today. All right, so we also got a little ground strap right here that uses a 1/2-inch socket. I got a little ratchet up on there. I'm just gonna disconnect it from the engine. Sits right below the AC condenser. But once this is out, that'll make all of our ground straps free. I believe there might be one or two on that side, so just gotta keep looking, but it's all these little things. All right, so what I'm gonna do next, guys, is undo the engine harness, the wiring harness up here, but I am going to just do that on my own. I'm gonna take my own little video so I can follow through and see what needs to be disconnected, but it's pretty simple. We're literally going to take things and disconnect them. It's not much to it, honestly. We just gotta figure out how everything is held in like that. Bam, unplugged. Working on disconnecting that harness. Got some of it out right now. We got a 10mm nut on the back of the alternator, and we got to pull off. Then this harness can come off on this side of the engine. There's not much. Well, that wasn't great. I'll have to go find that. But there's that. Alternator's disconnected. So I'm getting most of the harness disconnected right now. I realize that I have to disconnect this little line that goes to the back of the throttle body. And there's also another ground right there on the intake plenum hidden down there that I gotta take off as well. And the harness is pretty much out of the way. All right, I've removed our ground straps. The wiring harness has completely freed up on one side. I'm going to see if I can just remove this whole computer unit by removing this little bolt right here. Look at that. We just got a little thing on the throttle body. I'll unplug it from here, probably be a little easier. Look at that. Now this is completely freed up. We just got a couple other connections back there we got to undo. So we're underneath the truck now, and right on the transmission, we got this big pan. We got a 9/16 socket on there. We're going to pull off all three of those bolts on each side. This one was actually already loose, which is really interesting. Got to pull the other three off on that side, and it's just a cover covering the flywheel and torque converter. So once this is off, we should be able to just undo the flywheel bolts. I didn't realize there was another bolt right at the bottom of this pan. When I took it out, this thing sprung right away from the pan. So I'm gonna have to crack whatever bolt's up there, tighten it up to this again later. But it was just funny. It had so much tension, I didn't even realize. There's one more bolt up there, and we'll just get out one last one up here that was in there pretty tight, and then this pan's good to come off. All right, guys, check this out. We are just about to get this pan out of here. Good feeling. Making some good progress. We've only been out here maybe an hour and a half at most. I don't even know, maybe not even that long. But yeah, this pan's just gotta kind of finagle around this pipe. Oh, I hope I don't have to. If I had to pull this pipe, that would be so annoying because like we're right there. We're gonna have to disconnect the exhaust, the collectors right there. So there's 3 bolts. I don't think I'm gonna film that. I'm just gonna tell you guys what we're gonna do. We're gonna unbolt both of those connectors. I think it worked. Oh, I thought it worked. It actually just broke up at the top. That's unfortunate. Actually, such a W. One of the collectors is already down here. Only one stud broke. So we'll get into that later, but that makes life so easy. We just got one more on that side to do. Okay, look at this, guys. We've unbolted both the connectors. This is hanging down here. I actually might be able to just pull this pan out right as it sits. So that would be pretty cool. Gotta get my other hand in here and just kind of work it out. There it is, the torque converter on the flywheel. I was able to pull the exhaust down and pull that big pan out. I'm gonna go up top for a minute, and we got the pan out. It's right there. Super simple. I just have to remove this top radiator hose. I still like to remove the fan up here. I gotta finish taking off the wiring harness. So I'll just, little things, but the exhaust is completely disconnected. I also have to get down there to do the flywheel bolts, taking the flywheel bolts out of the torque converter. I'll show you guys that after. The next thing I'm gonna work on is unbolting all the brackets that hold in this AC pump, and looks like we got a bolt back here I gotta undo, so we're gonna, well, this one's already hand loose. I did not loosen this one. So we're gonna loosen this up and see what else we're gonna take off, just so I can take this and slide it over. That'll make it so we can keep all of our Freon in the system without having to, you know, go get it recharged and all that. All right, we just pulled this big ring off of the throttle body, and I disconnected the injectors. So everything seems like it is good to just come right out of the way, which is awesome. It really cleans us up. Got a couple more little hoses and stuff to disconnect as I go, but it's really getting simple now. Beautiful. Wiring harness is all out of the way. I think I might have to undo a bolt that holds the transmission stick to like the block. So we'll definitely look into that. So I actually jumped the gun. What we got to do is actually, I had to put the belt back on, put some tension on the belt just to break these free, because they are on there. Because if you turn them without the belt, the whole assembly will move like that. So just a fair warning. Once this fan is off, though, then we can take the belt back off once more, and then we can get this condenser off. That opened up so much space for us in here. Last thing we got to do is just get this condenser out. There's a couple bolts I'm going to remove down here and down here for the bracket. See if we can just, anything I can do to just pull this out as one unit. They want me to take the valve cover off, which I could do. It's 4 10mm bolts, but this bolt is just hitting back here. So I figured I'll just keep going. So I'm just bouncing back and forth on this thing. I got this loose. What I got to do is I got a socket and a ratchet set up there. I'm going to hold the crankshaft pulley in place while James over here attempts to pull out the bolts. Here, why don't you show the viewers, grab the camera and show them where it is.
It's right there.
You see it good on camera?
This bolt right here.
Yep. Looks like there's only, what, like 4 of them maybe?
I think there's 4. There's that, and then there's one over there.
And what size is it? It's a 5/8.
It's a 5/8.
Perfect. Thanks. You can see right up there where it would mount to the flywheels. All right, James is moving the engine over so I can get to the next torque converter bolt. So very interesting. It was only 3 bolts. Give that a turn. See? We're free. We're good. All right, James has to take off the valve cover on the passenger side. So he's going to do that now. And then this can literally come out. Literally, it's just that one bolt, and I had to take the valve cover off for it. That drove me crazy. Whatever. We're just going to do it. Then it'll be done. Then we'll be good to go. We are going to take some tape and just tape up right here and down here to see where the hood hinges sit. That way it'll be easy to put the hood back on after we take it off. Sick. Well, love to see it. That's perfect. Now hits the lifter. I don't even care. I would have been so mad if I hit the lifter. That would have been like comical at that point. But yeah. Now this can just lift up and be thrown over there. So something we're gonna undo over here is things like this linkage. So should be interesting to get off. Looks like a tab. I just pull up, push down, and pull off. Now that that's off, that's a cable. I'm gonna put this clip back on there. I don't want to lose this. We might need that again. And it's the same thing with this. You just pull this clip off the top of here somehow, pull it backwards, pull our cable, snap that back on, all the same. Easy stuff, liking it. I guess all I gotta do here is just pull this forward. Cool, all of our linkage is undone there. I guess I gotta undo it however it's mounted back here. Just realized we have a hose that's going to our brake booster that I also gotta unplug, because that goes to a hard line right into the throttle body as well. It's just those little things, but most of the engine harness I believe is just about out of the way. Might have to undo the fuel lines back here as well. I believe that's what they are. So we'll take a look at that in just a minute as well. So what I was going to do is just undo these plastic clips, but it's not really working out too well for me. So it looks like we have a bolt there and a nut down there holding it in, probably about a 1/2 inch socket. So I'm gonna take both of those off and see if that'll free this bracket up and I can just pull it off the engine. So with a 5/8 wrench, we popped these fuel lines off. Super easy. What I'm going to do now is just take a quick mental note video just to see where all the spark plugs go. Now I'm going to unplug all the spark plugs, clean this up, make it so less things are going to get caught when we pull the engine as well. Alrighty, I couldn't pull these plastic clips out, so we just got to bolt out of here. I got to undo that bolt, but to get to that bolt, I think I got to undo this little bracket right here, pull this off, and then I can get a ratchet clean on there with just a long socket. We did pull the engine mounts down here. I just ran a long extension and connected it to the mount down there. Had James hold a wrench on the backside and just unbolted them. It was pretty simple. I should have filmed it. I just forgot to pick up the camera. That's all. The only other things I'm noticing that we got to do is I got to do the heater core hose that goes into the back of the intake over there. We got to undo the power steering lines somewhere. It looks like we got a hose over there, and I'll probably have to undo a hard line, probably off the pump would be easiest. And once those are off, there's really not much left to go. Well, we've done it. I've unbolted the brackets for all the linkages, got them set aside. Unfortunately, this broke in the intake. Thankfully, this engine is junk, but hopefully we don't have to reuse this intake manifold. We shouldn't have to by any means, but definitely a downside. You know, we were doing pretty good, not breaking anything, and something broke. But it happens, you know, it's the fun of cars. So this line's pretty easy. We just got our little quarter socket on these hose clamps, and I just gotta loosen them up. It's gonna take a minute. But once they're loose, we can pull this hose off the top line. All right, I've just pulled our heater core hose off of here. It's just a hose clamp and a good yank. I'll drain it into the pan. All I gotta do is pull this line off the power steering pump. There's a little nut back here for the second one. I gotta pull that out. The only thing we still really need to disconnect, besides the trans dipstick, is we gotta get down there one more time and actually undo all of the bell housing bolts as well. I just wanted to wait until the very end. That way we could probably get something hooked up to this, undo those, and pull it all out at once. Figured I'd come back out here one more time, pulling off one of the bell housing belts right now. So they're a little funny. But there should only be a couple that just kind of surround the transmission. So just going to see how many I can get pulled out right now and go from there. We are on the passenger side now. I'm working off yet another bolt down below. I need to get a swivel, though, to get the top bolts out. So we're just still working away at it. Another thing I'm going to do while I'm down here anyway, I'm not sure if I have to, but we're going to send it, is we're going to pull off the starter. So we got two bolts that are going straight up and down. So we just got to crack these open and pull the starter. There's going to be some wires we're going to have to disconnect as well. Or actually, I might even be able to just leave them connected for now. Cool, the starter's out. I'm actually just going to leave it right there, leave it plugged in. I don't know if it had to come off, but it'll certainly make things a little easier, I guess. So now that's off, one less thing to worry about. I gotta get to a couple bell housing bolts that are a little tricky. Basically, the bell housing's like a half moon. There's gonna be like 3 or 4 bolts up at the top I have to figure. We just gotta get those off. I just gotta get a swivel first and pull those. And then, like I said, we're gonna take the tractor and pull the engine out. It's that simple. Alrighty, guys, we are back out here. It is a new morning, so we are on day 3. of James owning the truck last night, even though you won't see it in this video. You'll have to see it in part 3. We just went out last night and picked up an engine. Same day that we did all the work to get ready to have this thing pulled. So the only reason I stopped last night is I had to go get this swivel, and it was way too late to hit up any parts stores. So now we are ready to get back under there. It did rain, so it is wet right now, but that's okay. Also, in the next part, we're going to be swapping over all these pulleys to the new engine. The other engine has like a 3-belt setup, as this one just has a serpentine belt. But I'm going to get under there now and get those bell housing bolts out. And then I'll see you guys in a little bit once we pull the hood and get the tractor over here. Well, the nice thing about having another 350 over here is I can look at this one for reference. So I have just pulled out, I believe, a bolt that sits right here and right here on the truck that I'm working on. Looks like we got one way up at the top, so I got to get up there. And then there's 3 more on the passenger side. So this is a great look at what the bell housing bolts would mount up to on the block. So there we go. Alrighty, guys. Thankfully, I was able to fit my very long extension with swivel up on the last 2 bell housing bolts up top. So we are good to hook the tractor up to this and hopefully pull it out in one piece without any issues. I'm going to do the same thing here. I don't want to bore you guys with taking out various amounts of 5/8, 9/16, and 1/2 inch socket size bolts, but for the most part, I'm just going to take some pictures of this and just pull all these pulleys off. There won't be too much to it. We're really just going after things that are on the block. I'm going to set it all on the bed of the truck the same way I take it off, so I just know exactly how it goes back on here. But all of our nuts and bolts, we got some up on the intake, like braces and things like that. And I'm sure we got some down below. But I'll pick up the camera just to show you guys what we got going on. We've already pulled this pulley off. So, I mean, there's not a crazy amount to do here. We got James taking off the 4 bolts holding the water pump in. You're going to want a container down below because it's going to spill some coolant. Well, I've just pulled the tensioner off of this assembly. We got another bolt right here. There's a pretty strange one down there that's a little hard to get to. There's no space on the side of it to fit a socket. So, hoping I can maybe pry it off a little bit. Like, pry it to the side of it and fit my socket on there. But don't think there's too many more bolts to go before this whole assembly comes right off. All right, guys, I believe that is everything. Look at that. Look at that big assembly. We're going to go drop this over here. So without everything where we need it to be, I'm going to put this right in the center. And that was all the pulleys. So the next step for us is to pull off this crankshaft pulley, if it'll come off without me having to hold down the flywheel. Okay, we have this completely ready to be pulled now. And I'll see you guys once we get it out of here. James working on getting the hood off, and we are chaining this thing up. We got the hood off. We are good to go. Said pull right. Yeah, there we go. Now it's right up there. Good. We just need to go up real slow. But we're getting there. Well, check it out. There goes the 350, boys. We've gotten this engine out of the truck, so that is going to be it for today's video. How you feeling? How you feeling about your new truck project?
Pretty good. A lot of work.
So if you guys want to see some more content on James's K1500 build, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We'll see you in part 3. Thanks for watching, and peace out.